Welcome to Give a Shift, the podcast you want to be listening to if you want to make radical, positive change in your life. I'm Nancy Leeds-Gribble, one of the co-hosts.
And I'm your other co-host, Alicia Ziegler.
Yay! Welcome!
We're back!
Yes, and we are going to do a full podcast on this, but I have to give a shout out to Alicia and her 50-mile completion hike run, woo-hoo, in the rain.
In the Grand Canyon.
All the things. I told her when she was getting ready, I was so excited. I had completed 2 miles.
Of which I was just as equally excited.
She was very excited for me. So that's going to be another podcast. I can't wait to hear all the details, but it wouldn't be right if I didn't do a super shout out and congrats to you, because that is a massive accomplishment. So to you, I bow. And today I'm very excited. We have on a very special guest, and it is Dr. Angela Caveney, and she is a clinical psychologist, neuropsychologist, and founder of the Trybe Women's Social Club. After more than 20 years in the academic medical research world at the University of Michigan, Angi decided it was time for a shift. Having long been passionate about bringing people together and helping them find connection, growth, and purpose, she founded the Trybe, an in-person women's social community here in the Woodlands, Texas. In her free time, Angi enjoys hanging out with her husband and her 2 teens, learning new things, pushing others out of their comfort zones, listening to podcasts, and I think she has a favorite, reading, gardening, sitting in hot tubs, and I loved this, and staring at fire. I was like, so unique, so awesome. Angi, I also call her my friend. I am in the Trybe Social Club, and it is just a beautiful thing. So I cannot wait for everyone to hear about it. Angela, welcome.
Yay, welcome.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. I am an avid listener. I have been listening since day one.
Yay.
Really excited to be here. Thanks for having me on.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. So, quite a background you have there, definitely in the academic world. Now, I know that you have lived in a lot of different places also, correct?
Oh, quite a few, yeah.
Now here in the Woodlands. But tell us a little bit about yourself, and then how you made that switch into what you do now. Like, what was the reasoning, the shift that happened?
Cool. So it all began in 7th grade. I created a club called the Why Be Normal Club. And it was for a bunch of like girl weirdos who just were rejecting, coolness and popularity and just social norms. And we were just going to be weird, and that was going to be okay. We all changed the spelling of our names. That's why there's no E on Angi. So that stuck since 7th grade. And we just were ourselves. And
I love it.
Yeah, those are good times. And shortly after that, I decided I wanted to be a psychologist. And I went straight from high school to my bachelor's degree in psychology, to my master's degree in psychology, to my PhD in psychology. And I realized toward the end of my PhD program, I don't actually love this. It's really hard. Shout out to all the psychologists out there. It is really hard. People are stuck, and it's hard to get them unstuck.
Yes.
So I'm like, oh shoot, what do I do? This is many, many, many years in. I'm so close to that finish line. So I found neuropsychology, which is more focused on assessing the brain and how the brain's functioning, testing memory, language, things like that. And eventually I found my way out of the clinical assessment and therapy world and into the research world. So for about 20 years, I did clinical medical research with the University of Michigan, but really globally on these big global research studies, mostly on Alzheimer's disease.
Wow.
I'd say for the last, after a decade or so of that, I started to think like, is this it for me? Is this what, this is all we do? I'm a Gen Xer, right? So we get a job and we stay the course the whole time and we don't change what we do. And of course, that was a big part of my identity after so many years of school. But I just kept thinking like, is there more, am I supposed to do something else? And so I would say I spent 12 years looking for this unicorn they call the passion. Like,
wow.
Find your passion. Everybody talks about find your passion. And I was like, I must have a passion. I don't know what it is. It's probably not psychology, but and I looked under every rock. I don't know where this passion was supposed to be, but I looked everywhere for it. I took courses. I had coaches specifically to help me try to find that. I journaled, I agonized. I was so afraid of doing the wrong thing if I didn't find the passion, and worried about climbing that wrong mountain. And so finally one day, maybe
there's no wrong mountain.
There's no mountain. Yeah, exactly.
Let me just tell you, just get to the top. Okay.
Exactly. No, that's where I'm going. That's where I'm going. So one day it hit me I've been paralyzed for 12 years now, trying to find the passion. I'm like, just stop. It doesn't need to be one thing, just do something, right? Yeah. And, if it's fun, do it. And then, you'll find the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. And so that's what I started to do. And I'm like, oh, I just need to do this all along. So, so as I went, I also did around the same time a core values assessment. And I don't know why it took me until I was almost 40 years old to do a core values assessment. I think
I just learned this the other day too, and I was like, I feel you, girl.
Well, I'm a doctor of psychology. I'm supposed to know these things already, So I know myself, right? So I did a core values assessment, and my core values were connection, growth, and impact, and purpose. Ironically, purpose.
Yeah.
So I thought that wasn't a big surprise, right? But to just know what they were, change things. And as an aside, learning what my husband's core values were, and that they were balance and stability. I'm like, no wonder you're boring, no wonder. I'm like, why are you still doing this job? It's boring, because I value growth and he values stability. So, but that's a separate podcast episode. But so I was doing some journaling, and I started journaling in colors, and I was doing different colors for connection, growth, and purpose. And I discovered the days where I did a lot of those things and a mixture of those things were my really good days. And that was a little bit tough during COVID to find connection. Those days, sometimes just, a WhatsApp recording with a friend was my connection. But it hit me this is what I need to be doing. I need to be just trying to get as much connection, growth, and impact into my life as I possibly can.
I love it.
Yeah. So I'm thinking, all right, well, what do I need? I need people to do this with, because I need connection, and I need stuff for us to do. So it also occurred to me around the same time that, what have I always done my whole life? People say, what did you do when you were younger? What would you do for free? And I think that's actually a really good question. What would you do for free? And
it's a great question.
It hit me around that same time that, the thing I've always done for free is leading groups. YB Normal Club. I led the gymnastics group in college, even though I couldn't do gymnastics. I was 6 feet tall. I can't do gymnastics, but I love leading the group. I can lead the group. But book clubs and wine clubs and girls' night out clubs and neighborhood social boards and PTA things. And so I just realized, I love leading groups. I've also
been a natural leader.
Yeah, my kindergarten teacher told my parents, basically, look out, she's a leader. She's a leader. So anyway, but the other thing I love to do, and I didn't realize this until in retrospect, I've always been somebody who pushes people. And I can't say my friends were all ready to hear it in their 30s and 40s, but I've always been that friend. You go for a walk with them and I'm like, why are you doing it that way? You need to put yourself first. Have you thought about it doing this way? And I'd have to joke. I'd say to them, do you want friend Angi, supportive friend who just says, oh, that's hard. That's too bad. Or do you want, psychologist, push you out of your comfort zone, Angi? So I also wrote a blog called Life Unstuck. That was about just trying new things, or if you can't try new things, try old things in a different way. So you know, the friends weren't so ready for those messages of, you know, you need to take care of yourself first and you need to continue to grow and learn and you need to focus on you. And they weren't ready for that so much when they had little kids, but now in our late 40s and 50s and beyond, like, I feel like everybody's sort of caught up, like they're ready for that message now. So
yeah. Quick question, just to tangent back a little bit. In the course of that 12 years that you were in this discovery phase, I love this too, because I know a lot of people who are retiring or then they're like, it's the exact same question. Like, I got to find my passion. Like, it's like, oh my, like, it's like behind door number 1. Is it behind door number 2? Like, where is it? And what is it? So when you were in the course of that 12 years, now one, were you still working or were you not working?
Oh yeah, no, I actually am still even a consultant. I retired from my faculty position, but no, I've always been working.
You were still working. And I'm just curious, what was it that would like click or resonate and go like, that's not it? Or wait a minute, I might be on to something. Like, that's it.
So you mean, mostly I just didn't try things for a really long time. But as far as my advice now looking back, I would say if it's something that you're excited to do, you know, it's a feeling. If it's something that you're like, if it's a hell yes, you know, like, yes, I really want to do that. I want to prioritize that. That's usually a good clue. And it's just, you know, start doing something and more will come.
Yeah, and maybe don't worry about if it's going to turn into
the
thing.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm
we can do some things right just for fun, just for the experience, which is why I do love your group. So now you're out, you're talking to your friends, you're you're thinking of this connection, and then
exactly. So it just hit me one day in January of 2021. I was like, I need to create a club, and it's going to be about connecting as women. And, you know, at the time, politically, you know, hot mess in Texas, you know, living in Texas, no less. And just like, I want to create a club where we celebrate ourselves as women and what we have in common and really, truly connect with each other on a deeper level. And I also want to do all these things, you know, so I created a club called the Trybe, and it's spelled Trybe because it's Trybe New Things is our motto. And we're all about, you know, being together and trying new things. So I sent an email January of 2021 and to about 110 friends and acquaintances in my area. And I expected people to be interested, but I was surprised by how much I received messages about not just, hell yeah, I'm in, but I need this. And so it was within 24 hours of sending that email that I went, whoa, you know, we really, people need this. People are disconnected. They're lonely. You know, they need this. So I sent that email and we just started doing things. And as you know, as a member, like, we do everything. We, you know, I joke that the only thing we don't do anything illegal and we don't do anything we've done before. So those are kind of the only rules. But I mean,
what kinds of things do you all do? Do you have like dinner gatherings, movie gatherings? And for those that aren't familiar with the Trybe.
Yeah, so we do small group mostly because that is important for connection. 99% of our events are structured. It's not just happy hours and dinner. If there is a dinner thing, it would be including some deep conversation. But no, we bring in speakers and teachers. So examples are like goat yoga, axe throwing, pickleball, belly dancing, sound bath meditations, find your spirit animal journeys. We're doing a dress up 70s jazzercise event next week. We have authors come in. So we do book club meetings with the authors there, cooking classes, gardening classes. We've done over 120 events actually in the last year and a half. So
that's amazing.
Yeah. So Nancy, have you had a favorite or anything that sticks out for you?
Yeah, I mean, so it's very diverse. I met Angi at a chamber function and definitely was like, oh my God, got to check it out because it is. I think the thing that it is harder to meet people when you're older.
Yeah.
And, you know, unless you're like in a very specific type of club, like a, you know, tennis club or golfing or pickleball, and, you know, or even a very certain Bible study maybe, but it is harder. And, you know, then if you're an entrepreneur, it's like everybody's networking and you're like, I just want to be and have a good time and meet people that want to enjoy some of the same things that I enjoy. Like,
Yeah.
and if it turns into longer term friendships from there, great. But if I could just have a group of women that I have a really good time with. So that's when I found out about it, met Angie, I was like, yeah, I'm in. And I have loved it. I've loved every part from there's like just coffees and intimate conversation. Which I love.
Yeah.
Is one of my favorite
Very
things
small group.
all the time, because I'm not a great small talker. I'm an introvert. I'm like, oh, I can't. So like getting a little bit deeper, I love those.
Yeah, the introverts love us because we have structured events. A lot of times people's hands are busy.
Yeah.
And there's a speaker or something. So yeah.
Yeah. And then the different food things. And of course there's a walking club, and we went paddle boarding the other day. And I'm going to do the jazzercise thing. And it's just really a nice way to get out of yourself, meet other people that are doing like-minded things. And it really does work for both introverts and extroverts. And Angi puts together a lot of events so that people can find their groove and what works for them.
Yeah.
And what are you finding, Angi, like what's the typical age range, and what do you find people are really getting from the tribe?
So I love that question. I do want to back up and say one thing I hear consistently, and it's what you're speaking to, is that the vibe of our tribe is really unique, because every person there is a woman and every person there is looking for friendship. And there's no agenda of business networking or political or religious, or there's no, you know, our religion, if you will, not to hopefully don't offend anyone, but it's about connection. You know, it's about being together and doing things and learning. So anyway, so it's just a different vibe than you get normally in a party or a group of women. But so it's really funny. The people who this really resonates with, number one is empty nesters. So people who their kids are teenagers, and so they're preparing for empty nesting, which is ideal that, you know, they would think that far ahead. But a lot of people whose kids have just left or left in the last few years. So 70% of our members are in their 50s. We do have like a couple people in their 20s and 30s. We don't not allow people, but pretty much everyone is in their 50s. So the empty nesters are a top group. Probably the next biggest group would be business owners who are too busy in their businesses to really make an effort to find fun things to do or to find friends. So I joke, you know, you just, you know, I find the friends, I find the fun, you just have to show up. But, you know, about half of our members actually own businesses, and that's not any intention or, you know, that's just how it has fallen, how the chips have fallen. So I think there's some different reasons for that. Newly retired people, women is another common one. You know, a lot of them got their social life through work or something along those lines. And so that's probably the third. And a small minority, but my favorite reason that people join is because maybe they've been retired for a while, but it's because their husbands are retiring or have retired.
They got to get out.
Get out of the house.
They're like, love you, but not every day.
Not all the time. I'm in my space. I gotta go find something to do. But
so you're basically a party planning event coordinator.
Yep.
Pretty much at the ready too. I mean, how in advance are you planning? Like it's huge to coordinate authors and locations, and
it's a lot. And I was doing too much for a while. I did 11 events in 14 days at my peak. And so I've slowed that down a bit because I realized I wasn't just overwhelming myself, I was overwhelming my members. So it's a bit of a live and learn. I'm still working on finding that happy place. So we currently do, 2 to 3 events a week. We plan about 3 months in advance. So right now I'm working on January.
That's amazing. I thought you were going to say a month, like 2 or 3 events a month. So now you just dropped a week. I was like, oh yeah, we all need this.
Yeah, which it's great because it's whatever your schedule. Like there's probably something that you can get into. And I think I find it fascinating from your career and the psychology world to doing this. There is a line that connects, right? And it is that people need connection. And, our podcast, both Alicia and I were health and nutrition coaches. We both know that whole health isn't just about the food that's on your plate or your fitness. Like you've got to have those social connections. And I feel like you did a survey once, correct? And that connection was way up there.
So it's funny, you'd think again, as a psychologist, I understand the importance of connection. It's a basic human need. I know the Blue Zones research, if you're familiar, with brands. And, one of the key things there is connection, having people.
Shout out to Dan. I know Dan.
In your community. Oh, do you know him? Yeah. Oh my gosh. Okay. We have to talk. He's one of my heroes. Yeah, it's really, really, really cool research. But there's lots of research out there that shows how important connection is. And you mentioned earlier that it gets harder as you get older. And that's true not only from the obvious social things that maybe you found friends through work or through your kids or through college or high school. You don't have those things necessarily anymore, but just neurobiologically, it's also true that, our brains are more wired and open to new connection and new learning when we're younger. And that declines just chemically in your brain over time as you get older. And so, those of us who are still trying to just continue to learn and continue to connect are sort of fighting a little bit of an uphill battle with, from a brain chemistry standpoint. But if you think about it, you're a caveman and, you're getting older, and it just makes sense that you withdraw into your closest people, you're not looking for a mate anymore. You're withdrawing into your family as you age and, getting ready to leave the world. Well, we're living a lot longer and our lives are very different now than they were. So yeah, it is truly harder, and it's critically important. So I joke though that you think, knowing all that I know about the brain and human behavior, that I would have realized that connection was all about. And yes, I surveyed for the first year and a half. It took me over a year of surveying. Why are you here? What's the number one reason? Is it connection, or is it, trying new things? And it took me about a year to realize that it's connection. And all these new things are just a tool.
Right.
Or the connection. So that was something that I learned myself. And so now I view it more in that way. And we've even, and originally it was always, for those who might be interested in the model, it was always, it was a free membership where everybody could just buy tickets to whatever they wanted to do, because it was about trying lots of new things. But we shifted over to, we still do that for people who are really looking more for meeting a lot of different people and doing a lot of different things. But people who also want that connection, we now have like a subscription version of the membership.
Private membership.
Yes, exactly. And so those are the groups where we do the dinners or the game nights or the coffees, where the small groups of people who are consistently getting together and just really getting to know each other.
I can only imagine that when it began for you, and probably where it is now, and with everybody that started when they did and had this huge arc, right? As an actor, we'll just call it an arc, that you've probably really mitigated a lot of loneliness and a lot of depression.
I like to think so.
People are afraid to admit I'm lonely or I'm really sad, or we get told, well, it's not, you're saying you're bored, but I often feel like, yeah, but boredom can really be an extension of I'm not putting myself out there, or I'm not doing something, or I wish so-and-so would have called me and I should call them, but they're probably busy, right? And we go through this whole spiral.
Yeah.
So to kind of have a go-to, that's what I'm going to call you. I'm going to call you like, you got a cake, and there's a savior out there who's got a go-to, and being able to allow people to kind of just show up and like have an immediate hug and support group has got to feel like I don't have to be lonely or sad or feel that way anymore.
Yeah, there's such a stigma around loneliness. You know, no one wants to admit that they're lonely, you know, because we look at that person as, you know, there's something wrong with you. And, you know, when you really dive into it, you know, we do these storytellings where we, you know, just really say, you know, we get deep, and the number of people who are truly lonely, you know, it's just unbelievable, but you wouldn't know it. You know, we're walking around pretending like we're not feeling lonely, but you know, many of us really are. So
yeah, I think it's very true. I was very open all the time. I'm like, I'm lonely. I mean, even though I had Wes here, I missed my girlfriends in Florida, something fierce. And I hadn't found anybody to hang out with and do stuff here in Texas. Everything I was finding was networking. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I just would like to be a person, right? I just want to be a person. I don't want to be this. And then I would think like, oh, you know, maybe I'll play tennis, maybe I'll play golf. But believe it or not, there's not a whole lot of beginner in the older category. So I'm like, well, I can't step into that arena at, you know, learning when these people are already doing their, you know, groups and stuff. So for me, it's just been fabulous. New to Texas, you know, I mean, I had been here a few years, but basically I'm a transplant in Texas. So for people moving,
and we removed the COVID years from the math, right? So if you've been here 3 years, it's actually 2.
Yeah. COVID years don't count for anything,
right.
But it really is. It's a godsend. So I mean, I was like, oh, I mean, is it like lonely? You can't figure out stuff to do? No, that's not it. But it's just having fun stuff to do and the connection if it's there. So we're blessed. We're very blessed that we have the Trybe here in Texas, in the Woodlands. But Angi, what would you say to people? What tips or advice to women? I mean, it could be men too, that you would say that don't have the Trybe yet in their locale. What could they do?
Yeah. So you mentioned the guys, so I just wanted to say very early, maybe the first week, I said to my husband, I said, hey, you can do the man tribe. and he said, oh yeah, that will never work. He's like, what would we do? You know, like guys don't just get together to talk. And he's like, it would have to involve, you know, alcohol or gambling or sports or strippers. And but what's interesting is I actually am finding a lot of men, a surprising number of men who are jealous and would like to have their own version of this. So I'm not convinced he's right.
I'll have my friend Trevor on, and then we'll make your husband listen to that. He's got a men's group.
Yeah,
then they can buddy up.
There are those guys out there who are really looking for it. And Nancy, you made me realize I missed an important group of people, and that is people that are new to the area.
Yeah.
That's a newer group because it's really just been word of mouth so far. So it's only very recently become a group that's finding us, because if you don't know anybody, if you're new and you don't know anybody, you know, how do you find the person who knows about us? So we started getting out on Facebook a little bit. And so we have found just recently some new people, but I do think it's a great resource for anyone who's new to the area as well. So but to get to your question about what people can do. So number one, we already touched on, like, don't, you know, get paralyzed looking for your purpose. Just get out there and try new things. So just, if this sounds good, give it a shot, try it. And
do you have a cheat sheet for that? Do you have like Angi's top 10 get started? Because I do think people get a little like, what are 10 things I even like to do? Like, it's the Trybe's top 10 maybe.
You know, it's cool you would say that, because just yesterday I was like, I need to create some kind of a digital resource, because I would like to grow this group outside the area. And, I'd like to have something to offer people in the meantime, like while we're trying to grow outside of this area and find people who want to, with my help, create these groups where they live. I want to create something to help people. So maybe that's what I need to create is
Fun. We just did it.
Like a step-by-step process.
Angie's gonna come up with it, and we'll get back to you.
Cool. All right, that's great. The second thing I'd say is do a core values assessment. It was fun. I got a deck of cards, and the first time I did it, I just printed a list of core values off the internet, and I just went through until I got down to my top 3, and just really thinking, how can I get more of this in my life? Will just improve the quality of your life and how happy you are. So I think that's
so real quick. So you just went, it wasn't like an actual quiz assessment that you did. So you just went and looked up core value words.
Literally Googled list of core values, printed it off, and just went through crossing off, went through again, crossing off until I got down to 3.
That's awesome.
Anybody can do that.
Yes. Yeah. Anybody can do that. And it's so important. And have your husband do it too.
She's like, and then he took an integrated test, and then we did.
Yeah. And anybody you do butt heads with, it might help you realize why, and help you realize like why they do the things they do. So another thing I would suggest always is to always put yourself first. It's not selfish. It's the most generous thing you can do. That's a piece of advice I give to everyone, whether they are ready to hear it or not. But it's, it's so important.
Right. It's you can't pour from an empty cup kind of thing. Yeah.
No.
Well, your face lights up, so you must feel like you have stepped into your passion.
Oh, thank you. It's not just
like it's never a day late, right? You're like, I mean, I think that's the thing too, that so many people hold on to is it's always so late.
Yeah, but, like there's not enough time anymore, or I'm too old.
Right.
People think all the time. We're not too old. Like, no.
I always say time is passing anyway. So what do you have? 2 choices. You're going to sit up against the wall on the sidelines of your own life, or you're going to jump in. Like it's moving along either way. So it can move along without you as the star, or you can jump in and be the star.
Absolutely.
Jump in.
Why not?
I mean, sometimes it's muddy. It's like quicksand.
Yeah. Actually, last night, one of our members was talking about her 93-year-old mom who still works out 3 days a week in group fitness classes and kicks everybody else's butt. And it's like, she has 40, 50 years on us. Like, come on, we're not,
That's my dad. My dad is 93.
Wow.
I just talked to him the other day. I'm like, what have you been doing, Dad? He's like, well, I went biking for 25 miles yesterday, really fast. I'm like, okay, go get him, Dad. Like, he's amazing. Yeah. 93, same age.
Yeah. Another thing I'd say is you have to prioritize friendship. You have to put it on your calendar and proactively engage in it. It's critically important for, your happiness, your mental health, and your longevity, as we talked about. I mean, I love that. It just needs to be a priority. And if you just save it for when I have time, you're never going to have time. You're never going to have the energy. You're always going to default to the easy thing, which is to sit on the couch watching Netflix at the end of a busy day. So, if you've got something on your schedule and you commit to it, that'll help you get out there. So that's one service I think we provide, but that people can do for themselves.
That's a great tip.
That is a great one. Actually, I think that's probably my top. I love that one. It's so true. Well, it's so true. Like you have to, like anything else, you have to make time. If you want friends, you have to make time to make friends.
Yeah. Well, and originally I've done girls' night out groups in the past, and it would just be like, pay when you show up. And so this time around, for a few practical reasons, but also I charge ahead of time. And part of that I view as a service to the people because it makes them commit. You put a little skin in the game, you sign up, you pay, you're more likely to show up. So, so I see that as being one of the benefits is you pay in advance and you're like, you may be tired, but chances are you're going to still go. And then once you get there, you're so glad you did.
So true. Yeah, it is true. Money's a currency, right? Like, put it out there and you're going to show up because you paid for it. And then it's kind of like we talk about fitness all the time. It's like motivation doesn't happen before you go work out. It's always after.
That quote, like inspiration has to find you working, I think is something along those lines. Like, you're not going to be inspired just by, sitting on the couch. It's not going to hit you.
I just did a podcast, same thing. And he goes, well, what do you do about motivation? And I go, oh no, I just show up and I tell everybody, just start warming up. And when your body goes, oh, this is what we're doing, you're probably going to have the best workout you've ever had, because it's the day that you didn't want to go do anything.
Yes. And, neurochemically, your brain, that's the day your brain needs the endorphins, right? The day you're feeling kind of sluggish and bad, you make yourself, you kick that into gear, you're going to release the endorphins and you're just going to feel good for so many reasons. So
I think you definitely too, you fight that, that like no regret, right? Because you sign up to do something, you're like, oh, I don't want to do it. But then you show up and you're like, oh my gosh, I had the best time and I don't regret going. And it's that same concept where you're like, and now I have a takeaway. I have something that I can go to someone else about. And right, it creates a domino effect. You have a conversation starter. I met this new person. They can help this person, right? I'm sure that everybody behind the scenes in the tribe is probably interconnecting or like meeting with others too. And it's this growing.
Yeah, it's a big, beautiful spider web. I love to see on Facebook or Instagram when people are connecting, amongst themselves.
That's so cool.
That's the ultimate goal, right? Is that they go out and do that. And it's funny, you just made me think of several members have commented that like their teenagers will know about that they've scheduled to go to something, especially their first tribe event. And the teenagers are like, Mom, don't you have that thing tonight? Like, aren't you gonna go, Mom? So the teenagers, because they want their moms to, they want you to get out there and grow and be happy. And, they still value getting out there and being social. So it's great when the teenagers push the moms.
Yeah.
Okay. So now that you two are local and you're in the tribe and I'm an outsider,
I'm sorry.
I don't know how you're going to bring it to California, but do you have an agenda for that, possibly an expansion? Is that something that you're looking to kind of spearhead, of maybe having people underneath you that can delegate like the same similar activities in their cities, or kind of build on the tribe?
So short answer, yes, we would love to do that. Just because every person I talk to from somewhere else says, oh, I want one of those. And so we need a couple guinea pigs. If any of the listeners are interested, we need a couple guinea pigs to work with us and just work through the procedures, make sure that it works, for someone else. But our plan is to make it as easy as possible to give them everything we've learned in the last year and a half, and, teach them all that they need to do, but to continue to support them with the tech pieces.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the social media pieces. And so basically so that they can just focus on finding their people and finding the activities, and we'll handle the marketing and, just all the hard techie stuff that I think would hold people back and make it hard. Our goal is just to get it out there as much as possible and to make it as easy as possible. People
facilitate friendships.
Yeah.
Go girl. I mean,
it's funny. Some people I've approached are new to their areas. They're friends of mine who moved, and they're, maybe feeling they don't know anybody yet. But I'll tell you what, there's no better way to get to know your community than to have a reason to like just bump into everybody in the grocery store and be like, hey, what do you do? Do you know anybody who does anything interesting? And I have met hundreds of local people that I didn't know before just by walking around, just openly asking people, what do you do that's interesting? Or are you interested in this? And everybody loves it. It's just really positive. So
yeah, it's very positive. I just was thinking of the example just with people meeting people when we all went paddleboarding, and there was two girls and they each had their hat on, like they almost had identical hats, and everybody was doing their thing, and they had I think They were newer, I'm not sure, but they bonded together, and you could just see them like connecting and hanging out. They didn't know each other, but it was really extra cute because they kind of looked the same. Their little hats.
Gravitate to
what was the best thing about, like, that was great, but what was great too was all the other ladies like so happy to see that forming, like to see a friendship, a conversation, wherever it was going to go, forming. Like it's a non-compete group, which is great. It is just, you gravitate to who you gravitate, and then everybody's just so happy that you're gravitating to somebody.
And that was an amazing way to start a Saturday morning, just with getting out into nature, getting some exercise, and connecting with some people was fantastic. Nancy won't tell us, but she actually led that event for us. So it was awesome. It was awesome. She's an amazing
Wow.
It was fun. And I'm excited to do more. So Angie, should I say Angie or Angela? Which?
Angie, for people who know me.
Okay. So for people listening who know her, Angie. For the rest of you, Angela.
On paper, but then Angie.
So I'm listening. I'm like sitting in North Carolina, and I'm like, I would love to learn more about this. I would love to even I need some of those tips. I'm going to listen, write those down, but I'd love to learn a little bit more. This sounds great. I wish our area had something like this. How could I get in touch with you?
Yep. So we have a website, which is thetrybe.com with a hyphen between the and tribe. And super cute little aside, if you go to just thetrybe, trybe.com without the hyphen, you're going to get to this 70-year-old man who started a band in his garage in the 60s, I think, called The Trybe, because they like the birds that were spelled with a Y. Anyway, and it's a stagnant page that's not changed, and he won't give me the site, but we're friends now. And he so you'll see at the top of it, are you looking for a women's social club? And click here. So that's the only change to his website in probably the last 20 years. But anyway, so it's thetrybe.com, and we have a Facebook page, just The Trybe, and Instagram. You can send me a direct message. It's The Trybe Social, and I assume you'll put all that in the notes for people.
Yeah.
But just shoot me a message, and if I would love to hear from people who maybe want to lead something. And again, we'll make it so easy for you. But even people who are just interested, I'm starting to create a list of just potential members if we have a group in an area to reach out once we have a group there. So
yeah, that's awesome. Trybe Global.
Yeah. Do we think that we would do like a tribe once a year location?
Yes. Oh yeah.
Now can come meet everybody.
Yeah, we're gonna have tribe retreats and girl trips and heck yeah.
Yeah, it's very cool. And it's all very fun. I have been very remiss because I think almost all the big fun dance events I've been out of town. I'm like, well, for the next one too.
You're coming to Jazzercise. I hope
you're coming to Jazzercise, but I'll be at the wedding for the after Halloween party. Yeah,
that's all right.
Yeah. I'll be around. But anyway, Angela, it's so great to have you on. I think personally what you have found that fills you up is such a gift because it fills so many other people up too. Like it truly is like impact. You had that as one of your core values, and now you're making an impact in your own life and an impact in so many other lives. And that is a beautiful, beautiful thing when you can do it. And so thank you for creating the Trybe. And to all the listeners, definitely, if you're like, we need this, or if you're sitting around, like, look it up. Let's get Trybe Global.
Nice. I'm going to go buy that right now.
And we'll keep going. And for all our listeners, thank you very much. We will put show notes. We'll have all the links in there too, so they can find it. And
we're looking forward to your free resource.
I'm on it. I've already started.
Listen, she'll hold you to it. I was thinking
accountability over here.
I was thinking about you two. I'm just going to add this. You two could start a group of grammar besties. Because
I love grammar.
Alicia, you should know that Angi is a grammar.
Yeah.
She's on it. And Alicia is a grammar aficionado herself. So you two could have your own little group within the tribe of grammar.
Our own little nerd group. Nobody's going to join that club.
No, like, where are my glasses?
I felt that connection right away. I thought about it when you were both on, because I have been on the recipient end.
Yeah.
Nancy, your grammar.
I approach it.
I'm just saying, it's all right. It's all right. All right. Thank you, everyone. And remember, please like, subscribe, and comment on our Give a Shift podcast. We are growing. We're excited you're here. Angela, thank you again so much for being here.
Thank you.
Can't wait for all the fun stuff to come. And again, to my co-host, congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.